Well, there's some interesting things going on with the tracker right now, so I thought I would do two things: give you a bit of an update analysis of the position of the boats and so on, and also show you, just remind you again of the features and the way you do it. So what you've got here now is the screen pretty much as you would see it. Oh, you wouldn't have the teams out there. I'll just get rid of those. When you open the program from the website, when you go to live. And then once you get in like this, you have to do a few things to make it good for you. Some of the boats are labelled. The first thing you can do, you can scroll it in and out, to get closer, and you can hold it and drag it wherever you want, so you can look around the site when it's bigger. So for now, at this scale, you can see most of the boats have got labels on them, and you can go on to anything. If I go on to Antoine, you'll see the cursor hits it, the box comes out. I've got speed 4 knots, sailing a course of 182 true, and it's got a position there, and then you've got the distance in the last 24 hours, 50 nautical miles, and he's first in the Chichester class. If I go down to Antoine here, to Istvan, he's doing 1.1 knot, even though he's right beside him. And last 24 hours, done 39 nautical miles, 13th in the Golden Globe race. Come down a bit further, we've got Loic there. Loic is headed off to southeasterly direction. He's doing 5.4 knots on a course of 118 degrees, done 110 miles. You can see down here, that's where we're reading that, 110 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. He's 11th in the Golden Globe. And then we look at Abalash right there, and he's quite close, but he's only doing 2.3 knots, and he's heading down this way. He's heading basically due south, says 194 degrees true. Distance last 24 hours, 105 knots, and he's coming 10th in the Golden Globe. So these discrepancies make you think there's something happening, and obviously it's the wind. So if we go up to the top up here on this top bar, there's a little windsock there, the same as you'd see on an airport. If I hit that, another box drops down, and you've got three options. One is no overlay, the other is predict the wind, or windy TY. That's the windy, and that's by far the best. So if I hit that, it'll immediately should pull up all of the wind data. And all of these colours and these little wind arrows here tell you a lot of information. And to get them, I'll just get to the bottom of the screen here. You'll see these colour grids here, the colour boxes. So if the general area is blue, there's 0 wind. If it's light blue, it's 4 or 8 knots. If it's greeny colour, it's 12 to 16 knots. Then it goes into yellows, which are going to be 24, 28 knots. If it's purple, 36 knots. Deep purple or lighter purple, 44 knots. And then on the other end of the scale, around those purpley colours, you go 50 knots, 60 knots, and so on. So that's your wind strength, and these are your wind arrows. So if we just pull this down again, it explains exactly what's going on with these guys. I'll just zoom in here a bit, pull it down so you've got a better look of Antoine and Loic and so on. You can see Antoine coming down the back, he's doing 4, but Istvan is a bit more into this sort of standard blue colour where there's not much wind. So Antoine has got a bit more wind behind than Istvan's got. And over here with Loic, this is interesting because it's different than what we had previously, but anyway, you can see the wind is coming on Loic's starboard side. And we've got, he's doing about 5.4 knots, but Abalash, who's only doing 2.3 knots, he's going to windward. So Abalash is tacking into the wind to try and head south, but Loic is still heading across southeast. He's got the wind on his starboard side on the beam and making a lot more boat speed. So just remember that's the first thing you can do with adding your wind overlay. Mark Slat's coming down 4.3 knots. He's doing okay. He's making a pretty good track. And then Igor over here, still doing 3.2, but it's very easy to see that he's in that sort of a bluey area with not much wind. So he's got wind on the beam, kind of nice on starboard tack, but he's not going fast because there's not much wind. Gregor, on the other hand, he's tacked across. You can see for the last 12 hours, a bit more, that's 24 hours maybe. He's been on port tack with the wind on the beam, going quite well, going quite fast. The box says he's doing 6 knots, 6.1 knots. And in the last 24 hours, he would have covered quite a bit of ground. So then if we look over, and this is real time, this is only a couple of hours ago, this latest update, you look at well, let's go to Tapio first. Tapio's doing 4.2 knots. and he's in an area of average wind. He's on starboard tack, the wind's on his starboard side here, and he's also heading off in this sort of direction. He's still going that sort of southeast easterly course before he'll tack over. Interesting here, you've got Uku and Susie side by side. Susie's doing 3.7 knots, Uku is, and then I keep going again, Uku is doing 3.4 knots, so Susie's doing a little bit faster. I'll enlarge that, but look at our wig. This is getting a bit crazy. This is why I thought there's some interesting things going. I'll just drag this across, and then I'll come up here and zoom it a bit closer so it makes it a bit bigger, and it'll all start to show up a bit better. That's probably too big for now, so I'll drop it back. So you've got Tapio, as I said, coming off at 4.2. Uku and Susie side by side doing the same things. The wind is on their port side. They've tacked away now, and I think they'll probably hold that course, but I've got no idea why R is actually heading out the wrong way. He wants to go back this way, but he's now heading due east, away from the course. And in fact, when I first saw this, and it's direct based on the last plots, there's his last change of course from there to there, which is when we had the two positions over the last 4 hours, so it's very real. He's definitely going off to the east. I thought, oh, this doesn't make sense. Fortunately, we just got a message from him about 3 hours ago saying he's heading out that way and waiting for the wind to go a little bit more southeast before he tacks. So normally you'd then say, well, maybe this wind isn't giving us the right thing, but but the wind must be right because he's got it on his starboard bow, so I don't know what he's up to. Anyway, kind of interesting. Another feature now, you say, okay, you look at Uku and Susie sailing side by side. If I wanted to measure the distance between these guys and see how close they are, I can zoom it up again and make it a little bit bigger. I'll make it bigger again. We've lost them off to the side here, drag it back there, there's a bit of a gap there. Now if I come back to the wind grid, open that up, you've got your 3 spots there again. I've got to get rid of the wind overlay for this because the program won't take it, so the wind's now gone, but at the very end here, there is a toggle ruler. Now if I hit that, right, I've now got the opportunity to hit 2 spots, and I'll do it off the bow of each boat. So I hit the bow of Uku's boat, that's 1. I hit the bow of Susie's boat, that's 2. And see this little blue line's just popped up. If I go up to the box, I can read it off. It says that they're actually 8.39 nautical miles apart. So that's the distance between the two of them. It's bearing from Uku's boat to Susie's boat, it's bearing 318 degrees. And the back bearing from Susie's boat to Uku's boat is 138 degrees. So this little toggle is a really cool device, and I know a lot of you don't know it exists. So, and here's R over the other side. Why is he sailing over to Susie and Uku? I've got no idea. But if I want to find out another one, first of all I've got to turn that off. That wipes the screen. I want to do the same thing again. I turn it on again, and I want to see how far away is R from Susie. I go boom, boom. There's the blue line popped up. R is 74 miles from Susie. Why is he heading over to see Susie? Maybe he wants to wish her a belated happy birthday. I've got absolutely no idea. And he's bearing a bearing of 84 degrees. So just remember this toggle ruler. It's really quite handy for a lot of different things. So to get rid of it, I just click on that, comes off, and I can zoom back out. Now let's just start to look at, I'll zoom out. In fact, I'll go right out to the very end here. And I'll come back just to remind you where they're going. I'll go right back to 0. Just if you looked at my last post this morning, you'll see the general course is to come down this side of the track and then slowly hook around under the high. There's usually an area in here of not much wind. So if they tried to cut across here, whoever gets in the middle is going to stop, and the others will sail around them. Not many people, no one ever really comes this way, even though it's the shortest distance, because it's all headwinds. And I'll show, and there's Cape Town here, so they're going to come underneath. Now, just to show you what's going on, if I hit the wind overlay now, go to windy, you'll see what's going on. Remember those purples I was telling you about? There's 50 knots down here, and this is the southeasterly trade winds they've got. This is generally the area of no wind that they're going to try and avoid, and that's why they have to come down around this side. And when they do that, the big trick is going to be when do they decide to turn and come across down here to go underneath. These are big winds and big seas. So how big are the seas? Well, if you go back to, and I'll just pull this blow up here. If you go back to windy TY, so I just pull that up, hit windy TY, Now, Windy actually gives you... All right, here we go. At the bottom of this box here, if I hit this little icon there, it'll give you wind, temperature, pressure, clouds, currents, and waves. So if I want to know how big the waves are, if I hit that, you'll see you've got another different color gradient there. And if you just go down to the bottom, you've got another scale here, a colored scale in meters. All right, so if I go look at this color here, you've got the purples. The purples are 5 meters, the reds are 6 meters. In the middle, these colors in here are 7 and 8 meters. So this is predicting 7 to 8 meter seas here, and it's an area where they're going to be heading very shortly. So if we now scroll back down, the other way, and we start to combine a couple of things, I'll pull the entrance down, and you can see the little bit of the wave height here. If I turn that off, it's at the bottom of the screen, and it's pretty much in line with Cape Town, like it's direct to the west of Cape Town. So if I turn off Windy TY now, go to no overlay, bring up the toggle ruler, and I'll say, I think both Philippe Peche and Philippe Peche is here and Mark Slatz is there, the ones that are pretty much in the lead sort of, and also then Jean-Luc. It depends how quickly or what angle they come down. But let's just say take a point from an average point from there down to that point where the big winds and waves were there. That's going to be, boom, there's the blue line. The distance is about 1900 nautical miles. Now, right now, the guys are going to be pulling about 120, or say 110, 120 miles a day. So that's going to be about a couple of 120, so that's 7, 8, 9, 9, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks from now, these guys are going to be down in this part of the world where the big winds are. They'll be entering the first areas of the South Atlantic, merging in with the Southern Ocean, and potential big winds, big waves, 8, 9 meter seas, depending on how they handle the weather forecasts and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of interesting to just to be aware of. So now let's just do 2 more things, just as a bit of an update. We'll see. I'll just zoom it in again to try and define what's going on. Remembering that the course generally now is going to see everyone. Gregor's made a pretty interesting move. You'll see he's already on his way down, and I think he'll hold that course now. He's decided he got far enough east, so that's it there. Philippe Peche is still tacking a little bit to windward and all that sort of stuff. If we pull the wind grib in, you'll see, I've got to go to wind here. I'll go back to wind there. So now we've got the wind, so that's cool. The next thing that we can do, again, if you'll see a sliding scale here, at the moment it's 28th of July, 6 o'clock UTC. If I slide that along this way, I can go to 1 day ahead. So hang on, 28th, 29th, around about here. Okay, that's 1 day ahead, and you'll see the winds have gone more to the east. They're coming more to the east. You can see it lightens up here for Abalash. If I come down and I go another day ahead, okay, the wind's going up there, but it's still holding east here, right? So Philippe Peche will definitely tack, soon. If I go over to the 31st, about 6 o'clock at night on the 31st, boom, boom, what's happening? It's still holding a big easterly component. I'm quite confident Mark Slatz is going to go down there. I'm quite confident Philippe Peche is going to go down, and I reckon if Jean-Luc can hold his own as well and not have to go too far to the South America, all 3 of them will probably just bore down here, and could be neck and neck. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. They're all on a bit of a line here. They'll come down. The main group here is not that far behind, so the fleet is still sort of together. What's the distances apart, sort of thing, using the toggle tool. We just zoom them in a bit here. Come back, get rid of the wind, because you've got to get rid of the wind to use the toggle. We go no overlay, so we've lost the wind. Hit the toggle tool. So we've got Mark Slatz here, boom, boom, and we go to Philippe Peche there, boom. Okay, they're 440 miles apart at the moment. That's those guys, and where's Jean-Luc? We pull the toggle back on again, so we've got Philippe Peche there, Jean-Luc there. He's about 300 miles across from Philippe Peche. It's going to be really interesting to see what's going on. I've got no idea what Arwig's doing. He's definitely at the moment losing some of the ground he had. He seems to be going the wrong way. Everyone else seems pretty happy. And finally, I just want to show you the last thing that's just a bit of fun, but it'll show you how critical some of the decisions are. This is the automatic video replay. If I click on this and pull the scale back, right, first of all, I need to set a speed. This is the speed of the replay. That's on 0. If I just slide that along to about there, which is a reasonable speed, and then slide this right back to the beginning, it gives you a date here, date and time. So this is going right back to the beginning, to the 1st of July when the race actually started. So to get there, we've now got to go back. So we're actually organising a video replay of the boats here at the moment. So now I'll just scale back here, get back to Le Sable d'Olonne. Here come the boats. So you can see them all sailing along. I'll zoom into this, get it a bit bigger, and you've got this. I'll get it a bit bigger so you can see. Remember this, when all the boats were bouncing around the place? So you can actually watch them as they come down. Here comes Suhaili, by the way. Da-da-da-da. So this is based on Suhaili actually leaving Falmouth on the 1st of July at the same time as the rest of the fleet. So you can see Suhaili, you know, our guys were really slow. Suhaili's actually passing the tail enders right now. So we're covering, you know, old ground here, I know, but in a minute I'll slow it down when it gets to where we are. I'll just zoom a bit slower. Everything's looking pretty ordinary. Nabil and Kevin and Ayrton obviously aren't on this tracker anymore. This is when they were coming through. You can watch Philippe Peche here. I'll just zoom that in. He overshoots the island and he'll actually zip back. Oop, too far, zip, back again, boom, boom. Mark Slat's carrying on after him. I don't know whether you can see that. So it's kind of fun to do this every now and then, and you can see who's pulling ahead and who's not, you know. So it's kind of a cool tool. Now there's going to be some really interesting things as we come down. They're stretching down towards the Cape Verdes. Everyone's got legs there, they're moving along, no real dramas, all looking pretty good. I think I need to zoom this, make it smaller, following him down still. So here's the Cape Verdes, and you'll see Istvan come through in a minute. If I go back here, here's this is Suhaili, and that's actually Antoine coming through. Here's Istvan there coming through, so he's going to pull in there in a minute and work out what he's doing. Someone's been in to calm down. If I want to know who they are with the colours, if I pull the screens out, you'll see the colours. So we know this is Philippe Peche, there's Jean-Luc, there's Mark, light green, that's Arwig. So R's really hanging in there at the moment, and you'll see, you know, the others will get away from him slowly but surely. Purple is Susie Goodall. There's Susie rocketing along, and over here in the orange you've got what do we got? That's Gregor. So Gregor's there, so you can have a bit of fun. You can see him cross tacks, and this is where it gets really interesting. So now you can see R's gone off a blinder. These guys are coming across here. They're still trying to work their way. This is the thing, but look at Mark Slats here. He's taken a punt from a long way back and decided to go for it. He's rode this area. He probably knows the weather over that side of the world. I'm not sure, but he certainly made some bold decisions there, and it may well pay off yet. R's still tracking down. Jean-Luc's coming out to the side here, and here's where it's getting interesting. Gregor's now tacked. Okay, so he's on his way. Mark's still coming around, and this is where it's ended up. So where it stopped is what we've got right now. Uku and Susie beside each other. Arwig heading out to the east. I'm not sure why. Can I think of a birthday wish for Susie? Jean-Luc's heading over now. Philippe Peche is still going to windward, and that's it. So anyway, bit of a run through on how to use the tracker and the key things that make it a bit of fun. And who knows what they'll be doing in the morning when we wake up, but it's certainly a fun time to be watching what's going on. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again later on.